Welcome to the Daily Current Affairs by CivicCentre IAS, where we try to discuss the top 10 important topics for the UPSC CSE Prelims for the day from the Hindu, the Indian Express and the PIB. Displayed are the list of topics which we have chosen for today's discussion. The first article talks about the Modi announcing a series of events to mark the 75 years of Constitution. In this context, we'll talk about the Constitution of India. See, the Constitution of India serves as the supreme law of the Republic of India, establishing the framework for the nation's political system. It defines the structure, powers, and responsibilities of the government institutions, safeguards fundamental rights, and enshrines the principles of governance. So, as the foundational legal document, it provides a comprehensive set of rules and regulations to guide the administration and functioning of the country. Now, talking about the framing of the Constitution, see, firstly, the Constituent Assembly was established in 1946, where Dr. Rajendra Prasad served as the President of the Constitutional Assembly. Then, on 29th August of 1947, a resolution was passed to appoint a drafting committee tasked with preparing a permanent constitution for India. Now that the committee was chaired by Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. So, this drafting committee worked for 166 days, spread across through 2 years, 11 months and 18 days to complete the draft. Hence, the final draft was presented to the Constituent Assembly on 4th November of 1948. Talking about its adoption and enactment, so after extensive deliberations and modifications, the draft was adopted by the Constituent Assembly on 26 November 1949, known as the date of adoption. Some provisions came into force on that day, but the Constitution was fully enacted on 26 January 1950, marking the date of enactment and declaring India a sovereign republic. Now, moving on to talk about the Constitution Day of India. See, the Constitution Day of India, also known as the Samvidhan Divas, is observed to honor the adoption of the Indian Constitution by the Constituent Assembly on 26 November of 1949. So, the Constitution officially came into effect on 26 January 1950, drafted under the guidance of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. So, our Constitution enshrines the values of secularism, sovereignty, democracy, equality, justice, liberty, and fraternity for all the citizens of the country. So, the Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment on 19 November 2015 notified the decision of the Government of India to celebrate 26 November 1949 as Constitution Day. This observance also marks the 125th birth anniversary of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, paying tribute to his contributions to the nation and the Constitution. The second article of the day says that the ISRO is set to end the year with the launch of PSLV C-60 or the SpaDeX Mission on Monday. Know that the PSLV Polar Satellite Launch Vehicle or the PSLV is scheduled to lift off at 9:58 p.m. from Satish Dhawan Space Center in Sriharikota. In this context, we'll talk about the SpaDeX mission. See, it is a mission initiated by the ISRO focused on mastering in-space docking technology. Know that the mission aims to demonstrate the ability of two satellites to dock and undock while in motion in orbit around the Earth. Talking about the importance of the mission, see, this in-space docking technology is crucial for the future space operations, particularly for the satellite servicing and for constructing space stations. Know that the docking in space allows spacecraft to link up after being launched separately, enabling more complex and long-duration space tasks. So, this technology will be integral to the operation of the Bharati Antariksh Space Station, which is India's planned space station. So, talking about the mission details further, see, the launch date is December 30th of 2024. And two satellites, Chaser and Target, will be launched to a 470 km wide circular orbit at a 55-degree inclination. Know that the satellites will follow a local time cycle of the approximately 66 days. So, talking about the satellites, the spacecraft weighs around 220 kgs. So, the Chaser and the Target satellites will demonstrate docking maneuvers, which is the primary objective of the mission. Talking about the secondary objectives, so after docking is achieved, the two satellites will move on to the secondary objectives, which include transferring electric power between the docked spacecraft, and this is essential for the future technologies like in-space robotics, spacecraft control, and payload operations after undocking. So, talking about the significance, see, if successful, India will become the fourth country globally to have capability for in-space docking. The third article of the day says that the year 2024 saw a sharp slowdown in the foreign portfolio investor activity, with foreign investors pumping in just over 1,600 crore on a net basis into the domestic equity market, which is a steep fall of 99% from the robust inflows of 1.71 lakh crore in the previous year. In this context, we'll talk about the foreign portfolio investors. See, FPI or the foreign portfolio investment refers to the purchase and holding of a wide array of foreign financial assets by investors seeking to invest in a country outside their own. Furthermore, some of the examples of the FPI include stocks, bonds, mutual funds, exchange traded funds, American depository receipts, and global depository receipts. Significantly, FPI is part of country's capital account and is shown on the balance of payment sheet. See, FPI generally intends to invest money into the foreign country's stock market to generate a quick return. So in India, foreign portfolio investment is regulated by the Securities and Exchange Board of India. Furthermore, FPI in India refers to investment groups or the foreign institutional investors and foreign qualified investors. Now, what drives the flow of FPI into a country? See, factors such as economic stability, growth prospects, favorable regulatory environments, and attractive returns draw FPI into a country. Now, what are the risks associated with FPI? See, the risks include currency fluctuations, political instability, different regulatory environments, and economic volatility in the foreign market. Furthermore, FPI is often referred to as hot money because of its tendency to flee at the first signs of trouble in an economy. Now, know that FPI is more liquid, more volatile, and therefore riskier compared to FDI. Now, there are factors influencing the FPI behavior. First one would be the global trends, where a strong US market and dollar made other emerging markets, including India, less attractive. Furthermore, despite the inclusion of Indian stocks in the MSCI indices, FPI remained underweight on Indian equities. Also, there were domestic challenges like high valuations of Indian equities, below expected macroeconomic indicators like the GDP growth and corporate earnings, etc. The next article says that in Lothal on Saturday for a review meeting on the upcoming National Maritime Heritage Complex at the Harappan Dockyard, the Union Minister for Ports, Shipping and Waterways steered clear of the controversy over the cremation site of the former Prime Minister Manmohan Singh and recalled him as an affable leader. In this context, we'll talk about the National Maritime Heritage Complex at Lothal. See, Lothal is a significant site of the Indus Valley Civilization located in the Bhal region of the Gujarat in India. Built around 2200 BC, it was a thriving trade center dealing in beads, gems and ornaments with the trade links extending to West Asia and Africa. Know that the name Lothal means the mound of the dead in Gujarati, similar to Mohenjo-daro in Sindhi. Know that the Indian archaeologists began exploring Harappan sites in Gujarat post 1947. So S.R. Rao was the leading archaeological survey of India, discovered Lothal. Now, what are the findings? See, it is the world's earliest dockyard connected to the ancient Sabarmati River. Furthermore, a mound, township, marketplace and dockyard were found. Also, marine microfossils, salt and gypsum crystals indicated seawater use. Significantly, Lothal was nominated as the UNESCO World Heritage Site in the year 2014 from a tentative list. Now, what are the different features of it? See, a tidal dockyard with the vertical walls, inlet and outlet channels are there. And furthermore, the remains of the stone anchors, marine shells and ceilings are linked to the Persian Gulf. Also, the satellite imagery shows the dried river channel that once supported maritime activity. Now, moving on to talk about the National Maritime Heritage Complex. See, it was launched in March 2022 with an investment of 3,500 crore rupees. Know that it aims to showcase India's maritime heritage and position Lothal as an international tourist destination. Moving on to talk about the Sagarmala program by the Ministry of Ports, Shipping and Waterways. See, it is located in the Gujarat of India. Know that the objective of this National Maritime Heritage Complex is to establish a world-class facility showcasing India's maritime heritage from ancient to modern times. Secondly, to utilize an edutainment approach with the latest technology. And lastly, to position NHMC as an international tourist destination. So this is with respect to the phased development of the park. Now, there are 4 theme-based parks, which are the Maritime and Naval Theme Park, Climate Change Theme Park, Monuments Park, Adventure and Amusement Park. Now, talking about the execution management, see, phases 1A and 1B were developed in EPC mode, whereas the phase 2 is developed via land subleasing or the PPP mode. Notably, a separate society under the Societies Registration Act of 1860 will oversee the development and operation. Also, the society will be governed by a governing council headed by the Minister of Ports, Shipping and Waterways. The next article says that the Arunachal Pradesh Chief Minister Pema Khandu said the Siang upper multipurpose project estimated cost 1.13 lakh crore rupees was being planned by the centre not just for generating electricity but to maintain the natural flow of the river all year round and mitigate the risks of flooding if China released excess water. In this context, we'll talk about the Siang river and also about the project. See, the Siang, originating near Mount Kailash in Tibet, flows over 1,000 km eastward and enters Arunachal Pradesh as the Siang and later becomes the Brahmaputra in Assam. Know that the Siang joins two other rivers, the Lohit and the Dibang, downstream to form the Brahmaputra. If we have to talk about the Siang upper multipurpose project, see, the purpose is to maintain natural flow of the Siang river throughout the year, then to mitigate the risks of flooding from excess water released by China, and lastly to generate hydropower. Know that the estimated cost is around 1.13 lakh crore rupees. Furthermore, it has a planned capacity of 11,000 megawatt. Moving on to talk about the objectives. See, the primary objective or the goal is to protect the Siang river and safeguard the livelihoods of communities dependent on it for generations. The secondary goal is to generate the hydropower. Now, what is the significance of this project? First, it acts as a countermeasure to China's dam project. Secondly, it aims to balance environmental protection and flood risk mitigation with developmental goals. And lastly, it highlights India's proactive stance on safeguarding its river systems and communities relying on them. The next article talks about the trends of the Household Expenditure Survey, Household Consumption Expenditure Survey released recently. In this context, we'll talk about it. See, the Household Consumption Expenditure Survey is conducted by the National Statistical Office every 5 years. Know that it is designed to collect information on the consumption spending patterns of households across the country in both rural and urban places. Furthermore, the data gathered in this exercise reveals the average expenditure on goods, which includes both food and non-food, and also services. Note that the data is collected in HES, is also utilized for deriving various other macroeconomic indicators, such as the gross domestic product, poverty rates, and consumer price index. So these are the overall consumption trends with respect to rural spending, urban spending, and rural-urban gap. Now, looking at the spending on the farm, food and non-food items, this is with respect to food expenditure share, and this is with respect to the non-food expenditure share. Now, moving on to talk about the key spending categories. Firstly, the key spending category, the food items for the 2023-24, where the top three spending categories are the beverages, refreshments, processed food, milk and milk products, and vegetables. And some of the other trends include rural households spent more on cereals, while the urban spent more on fruits. Also, the spending on sugar and salt continued to decline, while spending on the beverages and the processed food increased. And this is with respect to the spending of the non-food items, where you can see the top spending categories and also the trends over the decade. Now, what are the regional variations in per capita spending? See, the higher than average states are western, northern and southern states, which include Maharashtra, Punjab, Tamil Nadu, Telangana, Kerala, Karnataka, Haryana, Gujarat and Andhra Pradesh. Whereas the lower than average states are eastern and central states, which are West Bengal, Bihar, Assam, then we have Odisha, Uttar Pradesh, Madhya Pradesh, Jharkhand and Chhattisgarh. Next article says that the Union Corporate Affairs Ministry said in a release on Sunday that the pilot scheme of the minister's internship scheme received approximately 6.21 lakh applications against 1.27 lakh opportunities, with which the selection process for the internship is going on, according to the ministry said. In this context, we'll talk about the Prime Minister's internship scheme. See, it was announced in the budget 2024-25 to provide internship opportunities to the youth in top companies. Know that the pilot project launched on 3rd October 2024, targeting 1.25 lakh internship opportunities for the financial year 2024-25. Now, there are two main objectives of it. Firstly, bridging the gap between the academic learning and industry requirements, and secondly, enhancing the employability of youth through training, skill development, and real-life work experience. Now, what are the key features with respect to it? See, it targets 1 crore internship opportunities in 5 years, where the pilot project aims for 1.25 lakh internships in the financial year 2024-25. Furthermore, top 500 companies are identified based on the average CSR expenditure over the last 3 years. Know that the companies from underrepresented sectors or areas may also join with MCA approval. Now, with respect to implementation, the entire scheme is managed via an online portal. As of now, 1.27 lakh internships posted by companies and 6.21 lakh applications were received and the selection is ongoing. Now, with respect to the eligibility, see, it is open to youth seeking internships and companies willing to participate can apply with MCA approval. The key benefits include that the interns gain hands-on industry experience, skills training and exposure to real business environment. The next article says that exactly 100 years ago, on December 26-27 of 1924, the Congress held its 39th session in Belgaum, which is now Belgavi, the sole session to be chaired by the Mahatma Gandhi. In this context, we'll talk about the Belgaum Congress session of 1924. See, it happened on 26th and 27th December 1924. Know that the location was Belgaum, which is now Belagavi of Karnataka, then part of the Bombay Presidency. So the session was the 39th session of the Indian National Congress. Now, why was it significant? See, it was the only Congress session presided by Mahatma Gandhi, where a watershed moment in India's freedom struggle and the history of the Indian national movement. So it marked a turning point in uniting the factions within the Congress. Now, what are the key decisions and outcomes with respect to it? Firstly, with respect to non-cooperation civil disobedience, Gandhi reaffirmed that his commitment to non-cooperation civil disobedience as tools against British rule. Know that these principles are influenced future movements like Salt March and Quit India movement. Then the promotion of Khadi, where the emphasis was on the significance of Khadi as symbol of self-reliance, which was aimed to revive indigenous industries and reduce dependence on British goods. Furthermore, it stressed the need for unity among the religious and ethnic groups to counter British divisive tactics. Now, what about the significance of this session? Firstly, it highlighted the Gandhi's focus on the non-violence, communal harmony and self-rule. Also, his strategies laid the foundation for the future anti-colonial movements. Then, with respect to the impact on the freedom movement, so it encouraged the peasant participation in Congress-led initiatives, which promoted the khadi and village industries, especially in Karnataka. So it brought together leaders from across India, showcasing the collective resolve to achieve independence. Now, what about the cultural and the social impact? See, celebrated with the performances like Venesena's song, Udinavalli Namma Chaluva Kannada Kaadu, which became an anthem for the Karnataka's unification. Also, it reflected the role of cultural expressions in the freedom struggle. The last article of the day talks about the National Commission for Women. In this context, we'll talk about it. See, it was established in 1992 under the National Commission for Women Act of 1990. Know that the Ministry of Women and Child Development of the Government of India serves as the nodal ministry of the Commission. Know that the purpose is to protect and promote the rights of women in India. Also, to review the women's issues, address complaints and recommend the measures to safeguard, enhance women's rights. Now, what about the composition? See, as per Section 3 of the Act, a chairperson must be committed to the cause of the woman. Furthermore, 5 members are selected for their eligibility, integrity, and experience in the fields such as law, legislation, trade unionism, administration, health, and education. Also, at least 1 member must belong to the scheduled caste and another to the scheduled tribes. And there is a member secretary who must be an expert in management, organizational structure, or sociological movements. Alternatively, a civil servant with appropriate experience, and know that the term for the chairperson and the members is 3 years. Now, what are the grounds for removal? See, insolvency, paid outside employment, incapacity, unsound mind, public interest abuse, or criminal conviction will be the removal grounds for them. Also, opportunity to be heard must be provided before the removal. Now, what about the functions and responsibilities? See, as per the Section 10 of the Act, firstly, to investigate and examine safeguards provided for women under the Constitution and other laws. Secondly, to submit annual reports to the central government, including the recommendations for improving women's conditions. Thirdly, to review laws affecting women and suggest amendments to address the inadequacies and shortcomings. Then to address the complaints and take suo motu action in cases of rights violations. Also to undertake research and promote awareness on women's issues. Lastly, to participate and advise in the socio-economic development planning for women. So in this video, we have discussed 9 articles in total for today. We'll be back again with another video tomorrow. Thank you.